flagship initiative within the TEPSA. It's the years when we meet usually just before the presidency of the concrete country. But after 1.5 years, we meet personally. So it's very nice to see all the faces in the room. And I'm happy and thankful for everyone who came. So all the blessing for hosting us, and thanking for the organizers on both sides, as Science Pole as hosting, as TEPSA as organizing, and everyone who was brave enough to came. So that's really great. And some concluding remarks after these 2 days. It's very interesting to make some important points, but on one side, it's of course somehow challenging because we are really living in unpredictable times, and we should also take something positive from the discussions. Also, it not every time finish with the positive conclusions as such. So we learned from the human history that these challenging moments draw us to new solutions, and I took the lesson from that as well. So here we are discussing topics which are important for our future, and as you saw in all the 5 panels we had last 2 days, we really discussed the core of the European Union and its working as such. So starting from the rule of law and democratic backsliding, which really form the European Union and really form the identity who the European Union is and whose values the citizens and the institutions are supporting. Then we discussed the plans for the next generation Europe, both from the Green Deal perspective, which is really focused on our future, sustainable future, and the goals which are set very ambitiously, and the European Union is really the leader, even stricter to ourselves than the UN had expected when dealing with the green agenda. But of course, the macroeconomic capacity which had been discussed, because the European Union, as a successor of the European communities, had been always built on the economic foundings, and without these roots, we will not move forward. So it means that we are not based only on the political values, but the economic sustainability and the development is really important, especially when we look around and we see the economic power of the BRICS countries and the way how they use the money and the financial strength in influencing the international relations and international politics as such. But we should not also forget on the last 2 panels, which deals with the questions of future of European integration, and also the EU as a global actor, connected with the just finished panel on the strategic economy, because the security of the global environment is something we have to keep in mind. We are not living in a bubble. We are the part of the global world, and the international relations, the external actions, and all the threats and all the crises really influence our inner development as such. So from this point, the shared global responsibility the EU has is very important topic to be developed and to be exercised and implemented properly as such. All the panel discussions and all the panelists, thanks for being present and active, provided more detailed insights, and I believe that within the follow-up on our media and reports and everything, you can find more detailed information. So these all details, insights from the panels are connected also with the incoming French presidency. And of course, France, as a presiding country, will exercise the responsibility for running the European Union, both internally as well as externally. In internal relations, it's something where the country has to find a balance between the interests of the member states, which are still more and more visible, especially in some of them, vis-à-vis the interests which are representing in the Commission's plans, so the joint or common objectives as such. In external relations, it will be even more a strategic agenda, which requires the effective solutions which can respond to immediate crises we are facing right now in the neighborhood, see the situation in the mentioned Poland-Belarus borders, the eastern Ukraine, but also the issues connected with the climate crisis, the initiatives which is supporting especially visibly by the young generation and the young voice as such, the questions connected with the multilateralism, but also the global challenges we are facing, like the crisis of the health, the global pandemic, the global security, the issues connected with democracy, the freedom of media, and elections, and so on. So the France will not definitely have an easy position at that all. And I believe that with the support of the European Union, or within the European Union as a network of association of the states, we definitely have capacities to do something. European Union, with the France on the lead for the next 6 months, cannot afford failure or postponing any of the mentioned agenda. This is very important. We cannot make the hierarchy. We have to be active in all of them because we will lose the voice we have and the position we have in addressing the global challenges. So I believe that the European Union has to stand and, what we mentioned even before, present even more its strengths as such. So it means to be more united, more sovereign European Union is something we need. And the European Union should be able to exploit the potential of the economic recovery with the created fund recovery and resilience, as well as to face the ecological and digital transition. But between these priorities, we should not forget on the central of these activities, the final beneficiaries of all these policies and actions, and that's the human beings, citizens of the European Union and everyone who is resided there. So the French presidency slogan, recovery, power, belonging, should be elaborated and implemented with special considerations of human addresses. And that's why I'm happy that the voice of citizens should be involved, and the Conference of Europe on Future of the Europe provides the platform for the voices to be heard. But we have to be aware that for real participatory democracy, it's not about creating the platform and hearing what the citizens think, but to be able to be heard and to be implemented. So I believe that the French presidency will keep in mind the outcomes of the Conference on the Future of Europe and will be able to present it in the concrete action plans, in the concrete activities, and implementing the policies. But they are not on their own. The voice of citizens of the European Union member states should be also heard by its own states, by its own governments, but also by the European Union as well. And in this forum, I believe that also our voice, the voice of TEPSA, and all the remarks and conclusions and the research results which had been presented in the last 2 days will be also heard, and in some manner will help the France and the incoming trio to implement the policies in a way that we will be able to make the effectiveness in the global implementation, as well as we will be able to be effective, even sometimes resolute in the actions within the European Union. This is something where we have to stand, and we have to do it in conformity with our values, with our identity, and that's the European identity. That's not the identity of individuals, but we have the common grounds, and in this sense, I believe that the France, as the founding country, will be the very proper leader to implement it correctly. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Well, to conclude, I'd like to remind us of how we started yesterday with the advices we gave to this French diplomat, saying him, don't be too much French, but be great. And today we finished with the strategic autonomy, saying it was a great idea, but that it should not be a French plot. And you know, it makes me think that on the advices you give for a job interview or a date with a lover, like, be serious, but be cool. And it's a bit a contradiction of any presidency, contradiction between the ongoing legislative files and the priority of the presidency, contradictions within the files, within the agenda, especially between environment and economic competitiveness. But the contradiction is stronger in the French case, probably because of the institutional issue, with the strong presidential style in France, where the president sits in the middle, where we wait for his press conference, etc. And of course, the way decision-making system of the EU, which is very different and which is the opposite to the French systems, which strengthen these contradictions, which is already there, which is always there, but a bit deeper in the French case. I'd like just to make 3 assessments or provisions from my observations. First is that, well, this presidency will still have a French flavor in the sense of ambition. Yesterday, Macron was sitting, and behind him there was this big blue wall with these words, un nouveau modèle européen, new European model, which says that the ambition will still be there. Second remark, we have, regarding French authority, an experienced team, because we are at the end of a presidential term, because there has been continuity between Hollande and Macron in terms of decision makers and diplomats. So people in charge, the French authority in charge, they know their job, to say it as easy as that. They have done mistakes, maybe at the beginning of Macron terms, where there were maybe too much ambition vis-à-vis Germany, which put in a difficult position Merkel, etc. And now they are more professional and more aware of the complexity of the decision-making system of the EU. Third element, it's the fact that the geopolitical internal climate for the EU is rather good for France and for the EU. You know, the relation with Germany are, we don't know yet, but the signs indicate that there will be more than continuity. There could be more proximity now with this new cabinet. The relation with Italy are excellent. 2 or 3 years ago, the foreign affairs minister of Italy was coming to France to support the Yellow Vest movement. So we are very far from that. So there's a good stars, a good alignment of stars, as we said. But we have also seen over the last year or 2 years that now the Franco-German relationship is not sufficient, and on many files they have been put in minority to a new extent. A word to finish about politics, domestic politics. So there will be two elections, 4 rounds, 4 days of elections. Presidential elections are the most important, of course, in April, but the one of June are important as well, because they are necessary to hold the power. So it means that from the end of March up to the very end of the presidency, there will be this electoral climate. During the campaign, there will be contradictory incentives for Macron to put in front the open issue or not. If it's made challengers, the radical right, either with Madame Marine Le Pen or with this former journalist, Eric Zemmour, I'm sure you have heard of him, if they are the main opponent, there will be an incentive for him to put in front the open issue, because it's a matter of division and of distinction. If it is this center-right candidate, Madame Pécresse, it's less obvious. She published an opinion paper yesterday in Le Monde showing that she had a rather pro-European consensual discourse that that you will agree on, I'm sure. So, well, we don't know yet how much Europeanized will be the campaigns. On one word about the result, well, it is possible that a radical right win. We don't know. Nobody knows. We cannot be sure that it would not be the case. And if it is the case, it will change the whole meaning of the presidency. That would become a presidency of crisis, with blocks at the EU level. And in that case, it's better for France to be a member of the European Union than not to be a member of it, because the accession of the populist leader to the head of state will be bonded in a way by the membership of the EU, contrary to the Trump scenario, for instance. That's all for provisions. Well, to conclude, I want to say the added value of having an in-person event. I think we are all agree with that. I want to thank the great local organizing team headed by Linda Mrani. They are not here. I asked them to be here, but they are not here, unfortunately. And I want to have a thought for someone we own a lot in the room, and it's the first time I don't see him in a pre-presidency conference, and it's a bit strange. So it's Wolfgang Wessel. So let's have a thing about him. So thank you for your presence here.
Yeah.